The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Alex Otti of the Labour Party the winner of the governorship election in Abia State. He scored 175,467 votes to beat OK Ahiwe of the People's Democratic Party, who came a distant second with 88,529 votes.
Alex
There is no doubt that given the deplorable state of our infrastructure, roads, schools, and health systems, Abians are deservedly impatient to have these issues addressed as quickly as possible. I assure you that these areas will receive the priority attention of our government. Nevertheless, I caution that we all need to put in our best and row together in one direction. There is no magic wand that can fix all the rot and decay noticed in virtually every segment of the system since the past several years. For us to have sustainable development, it will require very painstaking and elaborate layout of master plans to enable us to tackle the menace of flooding and re-engineer our cities, especially Abia, Umuahia, and other cities that will be developed in order to support our urban renewal projects. We therefore plead for patience and understanding as we first tackle the immediate challenges and work on other major ones. The approach of our government will revolve around crafting policies that will enable our government to tap the creative energies of every Abian. We remain resolute in our drive to eliminate poverty and create sustainable wealth for our people. Once again, thank you for electing me and my deputy to serve you for the next 4 years and possibly 8.
Well, after several attempts, industrialist Alex Otti finally emerges the governor-elect of Abia State. Omar Bazwaye captures the moments shortly after the declaration by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Massive celebration in the streets of Umuahia as INEC declares the candidate of the Labour Party, Alex Otti, winner of Saturday's governorship election in Abia State. Otti polled 175,000 to beat Ambrose Oke of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, who scored 88,529 votes. Otti was declared the winner after the collation of votes from the last local government area, Obingwa. Otti's victory did not, however, come easy. His victory was delayed for 4 days following a controversial 108,000 votes from Obingwa local government area, the home of Governor Okezie Ikpeazu. The controversial figure was eventually slashed down to 20,000 valid votes by INEC after its officials returned from wild consultation in Abuja. PDP won with 9,962, but the figure was not enough to turn the gap already established by Otti and his Labour Party. In his acceptance speech, Otti declared that the gates of hell in Abia State has been shut permanently and the people set free.
Abia State Governor Okezie Ikpeazu has congratulated the governor-elect of Abia State, Dr. Alex Otti of the Labour Party. Ikpeazu said Otti has fought a long battle over a period of time and deserves commendation for his resilience. The governor assures Otti that he will put in place every necessary measures to ensure a seamless transition from his administration to his. He equally thanked the people of Abia State for casting their votes in a peaceful manner and reminded them that peace remains critical in the quest for sustainable development. He enjoins them to accord the incoming governor every necessary support that will enable him succeed. Governor Ikpeazu had earlier advised all the candidates who took part in the election not to distract the incoming governor with court litigations.
Well, very good advice coming from the incumbent Governor Ikpeazu there. Well, we have in the studio Arise Director of News and Politics Editor Sumner Sambo to help us analyze these stories from Abia State. Sumner, good to see you. Well, it's been a long journey, just like the governor acknowledged there, you know, for Alex Otti to get to where he is now. The third time lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that Ikpeazu is congratulating the governor-elect, but if he had wanted a level playing ground, then why was PDP doing all that they were doing to ensure that, you know, these results are not fully announced? I mean, this is the time to actually call out bad politicians and bad politics in the country. I mean, we tend to want to make ourselves look like we do not have, you know, best practices in the country. I mean, how could, I mean, if you look at the results of the presidential election, by the next day we already knew the winner in Abia State. I know that emotions are high on this and all of that, but the governor himself cannot remove himself from the challenges that we had. The Abia, with, I mean, look at the results that we're having. In some states, this is just a senatorial election result. 175,000 to 88,000, and of course the YPP. Yeah. And so why did it have to take up to 4 days? Something is actually wrong. And we must commend the electoral officials who tried their best not to allow the messy situation to continue. While we are jubilating with the winner, we must ensure that the electorate's will, the will of the people, must not be tampered with by any political party, by any person in power or authority. I mean, this already looks like a clear win. So now the Obingwa results comes out, and it didn't, there was no reason, there was no difference. So there was no reason for this outcome not to have been known by Sunday evening or at most by Monday morning. You know, something is wrong with us as a people, and we have to stick to the laws and stick to the Constitution. I'm very angry with the fact that, you know, this result from this local government had to keep everybody waiting. That could have led to a lot of chaos in that state.
Well, speaking of which, you actually said something about the electoral umpire, which you just gave credit here. Now, let's speak more about the process, because away from the figures, there's something clearly that is happening to our democracy. Whether you are an incumbent, whether you're the ruling party, we're seeing some kind of slight, you know, move towards the people's mandate.
Yeah, I mean, if you read the Washington Post editorial that they had written, you see where they clearly analyze it in a way that was very fair to all parties, actually. And that's why I'm saying that, you know, a lot of Nigerians who are very emotional about the presidential election and its outcome should also be very circumspect and put, you know, these election results in a perspective that doesn't alter our democratic growth. Because some people are saying that it should be annulled totally. Some people, out of anger, are saying that there's nothing good about this election. There are still some good spots about it. And it's so good to know that...
Which was a point that the Washington Post actually tried to...
Yes, the Labour Party here, everybody has seen this result. And if these results had gone the other way around, I mean, you would have seen anarchy on the streets. Because the results were already there. The Obingwa results wasn't going to determine anything substantially. And that's why when we saw attempts to want to fiddle with the results, a lot of people were just watching to see. Because that would have given us a test as to whether results were tampered with, you know, in such a large magnitude in other states like we hear complaints. Right. This is not to say that there are no problems in other places. But what we are saying here is that people should understand that democracy is a process. And that process can be difficult at times. But we must allow the will of the people to prevail. And that's why the whole challenges we have now have been shifted to the courts. And if we have activist judges, I can tell you that most of the people who are rejoicing now that they've won in other parts of the country may end up losing their mandate, if indeed they tampered with the results. Because what is there in the IREV, which was a system to help us, you know, measure up with the manual system, has turned out to be working in some instances. Because if they had fiddled with the Obingwa result, there would have been some problems. But I'm so happy for the Labour Party. But they should understand that, you know, it's a process, and people have to understand the process and not take, you know, to the streets unnecessarily when the process is still being, you know, followed.
You know, in the early days, so much was said about our nascent democracy. Are we still nascent? With all of this that is going, we're no longer nascent. We've gone beyond that.
But a child of 24 is no longer a teenager.
Let's talk about the issue of the resident electoral commissioners. It's not only in Lagos that there were issues around that. In Abia, there's talk about the, you know, returning officer being related to the
one of the candidates.
Yeah, yes. Alex Otti, who has actually emerged. The issue of resident electoral commission, is there a need to actually look at that again?
You know, I mentioned it a few days ago that the appointing authority for the resident electoral commissioners and national commissioners of INEC needs to be reworked, because most of these people are being are politicians or people who have some sort of influence or interest, including the academics that we are pushing. And so you will find out who is the appointing authority for the resident electoral commissioners. You find out that the governing party at the national level nominates most of these people, and then you find out that the national commissioners of INEC is the same nomination process. Now, at the National Assembly, you would have heard where there was this uproar about some Rex being card-carrying members of the APC. The civil society organizations did not concentrate so much during that period. About 20 of them were going out and 20 were coming in. Now, some of these people that were coming, did we scrutinize them very well? Some of them are disobedient to the INEC chairman, because it's not the INEC chairman that appoints them. And if you look at the national commissioners of INEC, it's the same thing. For example, an INEC chairman sends one of the national commissioners to a particular place, and the person decides to switch off his or her phone for a long period of time, and he can't reach them. What will he do? And you see that in instances where the INEC chairman has wielded a big stick, like in Sokoto State, you find out that people still want to circumvent the process. But we need to put more attention on INEC. The powers to appoint regs and national commissioners must be revisited. And of course, you see that some of the regs, because they have powers to actually, appoint some of the collation officers under their say, they do a lot of things. Some of them are openly partisan. Some of them swiftly announce results that are controversial, results that should have gone into inconclusive elections. Now, what are the penalties for people who do that? When you know it's very clear that this result should have been inconclusive, but you rush to go and announce a result, and then you see anarchy. Look at Nasarawa State, for example. Lots of protests here and there. Look at Kebbi. A lot of people are unclear as to what exactly is going on.
Kebbi has been loudly quiet.
Very, very quiet. What is actually happening? And then you see, look at the detention we're still managing in Adamawa, where, you know, a lot of people are complaining here and there. Now, the electoral officers must understand the mandate that they hold. If not that, this electoral officer in Abia, you know, stood
very firm.
Her ground, firm, and then ensuring that even some of the agents that wanted to, you know, cause chaos or, you know, you talk down on some of these, she stood firm and said, look, this is what we are here for, not any other one. Give us the Obingwa, let everybody go and rest. The state was on the edge. So all of these have national security implications. We must ensure that when the next president is and his party are nominating resident electoral commissioners, everybody should open their eyes and know that these people actually determine whether your vote counts or not.
And Sumner, let's see if we can close on this. The incumbent Governor Ikpeazu congratulating Alex Otti, the governor-elect.
Yes, I mean, it's a very welcome development. Alex Otti is very, very good. The Labour Party, this is the first state that they are going to have. All the things that they promised Nigerians that they were going to do at the presidential level, they will be put to test at the state level. Now, at least they already have this one before the courts determine the outcome of the presidential election. Now, there will be lots of pressure on Otti, just like there's a lot of pressure on Soludo to deliver.
As technocrats.
Both of them are technocrats, and both of them, this is the only state that they have. Abga, they only have Anambra State. Now, Labour Party already has this one now, except maybe it goes the other way around for them in Enugu State. So there'll be lots of pressure on them, And then this Alex Otti is also coming from the Fidelity Bank clan and all of that.
Yeah.
You know what happened in Anambra State, where you had Peter Obi himself coming from Fidelity Bank, and then of course you had the other governor who just left there coming from Fidelity Bank. A lot of people are beginning to say the bankers are coming into the political industry, if I may call it that way. Now, people will put them to test as to the ideas that they've sold to people. Look at Governor Chukwuma Soludo, for example. People are beginning to weigh his actions as a CBN governor and then his actions as a governor.
State governor.
Because there's a lot he has to deliver. From here, we will be able to test the Labour Party and see if indeed these people who use Peter Obi's image to win election believe in Peter Obi's ideologies or the Labour Party's ideologies, or they have their own game plan separate from these two.
In the case of Alex Otti, would it be fair that he rode on the back of the whole obedient way?
Yes, I mean, that's
or
politics.
He actually earned it himself. I mean, for him as a candidate,
you can't remove Obi from
you
this.
can't. You
Obi's
can't.
influence
Definitely
is there. There's no how there would have been an Alex Otti win. I can tell you, if you know Abia politics very well, a lot of people were very tired. You can see that the YPP came third. It was just anything other than PDP.
Yeah.
And then, of course, people were careful to understand that Obi represents a particular phenomenon that's ongoing in Nigeria. And like I said previously, we must continue to thank him for bringing a breath of fresh air into the Nigerian politics.
Absolutely.
Because the legacy political parties thought, you know, they could take everybody for granted. Look at Abia, look at PDP. Since 1999, the democracy and development indices of Abia State have been controversial over the years. Lots of people saying that, look, as it stands right now, PDP cannot justify being re-elected into Abia State. And maybe it
explains the low turnout in Abia.
So it's left for us to be able to see what Labour Party can do differently. And that's why I said there's a huge task of ahead of Alex Otti. And then, of course, Peter Obi should not leave the state, because this reminds me of Nasarawa State in 2011. That was the only state that Buhari won. Yes. And that state guided his forming an alliance with Tanko Almakura as his governor way into 2015. So if Peter Obi is able to harness the governance potentials of Alex Otti and work with the party to deliver democratic dividends, it could help his future political career. Absolutely. And then, of course, the party too.
Very well
like to
said.
Thank you, Sumner Sambo. Thank you for your time as always.